Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to take a listen to the interview that Ivan had with Kaitlyn Bristowe and Jason on Grape Therapy podcast. So I want to send a shout out to them and talk about why Tayshia and he did not end up moving forward. So if you're new here, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you at the end so we can chat about it. So let's go.
I've talked about this so many times, and Jason and I both agree that the show has needed to evolve in all of these ways, and they really are, and talking about things that matter, including religion, which is obviously something that you're gonna have to talk a lot about, because I don't feel like the viewers really got answers in the way that we need, so which is why people are gonna just kind of annoy you with these questions nonstop. But you know, when I always said in fantasy suites, it's not always about the of course there's intimacy and all of that, but what really matters in those dates is finding out if your paths in life align, if your beliefs align, religion, politics, money, so many important things that you should talk about when you're finding a life partner. But unfortunately, we don't get to see that on the other side. So what is the question that we missed, and what is the religion talk that we missed that Tayshia ended up ending the relationship over?
Yeah, so, you know, in this short amount of time, you have to have like deep talks and talk about a lot of different things. And there was kind of like, and I was always trying to like kind of calculate like when I could talk about certain things with Tayshia. Like in that first one-on-one, we got to talk about family a little bit, and we got to talk about the world. In hometowns, it kind of turned back to family again. And then in fantasy suites, I knew that would be like our one opportunity to have like hours and hours of uninterrupted time. We can talk about finances. I'm actually really big into like finances and investing and whatnot. So I love to talk about that, especially if we're going to be partners going forward. And then, you know, raising kids. And that's kind of how the religion topic got brought up. Because I believe she asked me, and I knew we were going to have to talk about it eventually, because I could tell that she was at least, that she was Christian. But we hadn't talked about it in the past. But she said like maybe once to me that she relied on her faith a lot or something like that. And then just from the other guys, I was like, okay, she's Christian. So in the fantasy suite, that was like really the first opportunity I felt like we could really have a good amount of time to talk about it. Because for some people who aren't familiar with people who like aren't religious, or I identify myself as agnostic, it's a lot to take in, honestly. And I try to explain myself as best I can. So that's kind of how it came up. She was like, Tayshia was like, so what do you think about, you know, raising kids with religion and whatnot? And then that's when we dove into it. And I kind of explained to Tayshia, listen, I'm agnostic, and being agnostic is, a lot of people confuse it for being atheist. Atheist is not what I am. Atheist is taking a hard stance that there is no God, and that's not what I believe at all. It's completely different things, but everybody confuses it. Agnostic is strictly saying, I don't know, basically. And that's just how I feel. I feel like I don't know. I honestly feel like no one really knows. You know, whatever religion you are, honestly, the majority of the world is actually not your religion. So it all gets kind of crazy. And then when we get into the details of things, when she maybe starts asking me about like my beliefs about like, is there a heaven or is there a hell, that kind of stuff, I'm going to be like, yeah, my answer is going to be different than yours, because I'm going to tell our kids, I don't know what there is. And then you can tell the kids whatever you want, and you can take them to church. That's completely fine with me. Or because in my past, I've dated women who are Christian, I've dated women who are Muslim, like anything. Like I'm completely open to it. It is what it is. You can have whatever religion you want. My main focus are the morals and values that you have, and that's what I try to have. I just try to have good morals and values. That's what's most important to me. And you know, for Tayshia, it's something different, where she, I guess, actually wanted to date someone who is Christian, and that's completely fine. And that's how a lot of people are. So that's completely fine. And you know, it does suck, or I guess, or whatever, that, you know, you probably could have just eliminated X amount of people in the beginning then off of that.
Right.
But it is what it is. And I don't blame her for it, because I mean, it's a tough topic to get around to. And then as somebody who's also not religious or agnostic, I guess, like I don't really ever go around telling people like, hey, I'm agnostic or I'm not religious.
Right.
People don't do that. Like when you're a religion, you kind of like, hey, I'm going to my church, I'm going to my synagogue, whatever. Like if you're not religious, you just don't really talk about it. And it's something that I also think a lot of people think that like maybe I don't think too much about, but I've dove deep into this, and that's where I arrived. The main thing with the religion with me is like, I don't really like the dogmatism of it all, where people try to claim that things are the way they are, you know, without really any proof, to me at least. And that's where the faith part comes in. But that's just how I like to live my life. I need to see proof of everything. And if something ever did prove itself to be true to me, then I would 100% go on board with that religion. But at this point, I would just have to say, based off all the evidence I've seen across the board, I just don't see it, to be honest. So.
Okay, Vinos, I've got a question for you. Do you ever have those nights where you just don't feel like figuring out what to eat? I know everybody's nodding their head right now, and you wish it was just figured out for you. Let me introduce you to Green Chef. Green Chef is the USDA certified organic company that makes eating well easy and affordable. They let you choose from a variety of really easy recipes to follow. Everything arrives portioned out for you, pre-measured. It's really simple and tastes amazing. It's also just really nice not to have to go to the grocery store, especially right now. It's all laid out for you step by step. All the ingredients are hand-picked veggies and proteins that you want, dropped off right to your door, totally contact free. You don't have to worry. I also love that Green Chef is the most sustainable meal kit. So they offset 100% of their carbon emissions and plastic, which is awesome. I feel good about what I'm eating for so many reasons, including how they take care of the environment. Green Chef includes recipes for paleo, keto, and plant-powered diets, so they have you covered. I like to eat vegetarian as much as I can, and the plant-based meals are so good. Also, like I mentioned before, they save me so much time. We'd be eating fast food a lot more if Green Chef hadn't saved my butt so many times on these nights. Go to greenchef.com/Vine80 and use code Vine80 to get $80 off, including free shipping. That's greenchef.com/Vine80 and use code Vine80 to get $80 off, including free shipping. I know it's not just me that's a little too obsessed with their dogs, right? I wish I could see a show of hands here, but I know you're all out there. We are one big happy crew of people who care about their dogs just like they are family, because they are. So I'm going to introduce you to Springtime Supplements. Springtime Supplements has been around for over 40 years, so you know you can trust them. They take great pride in everything they put into their products with healthy nutrition and natural ingredients, which are tested to ensure purity, quality, and safety. Springtime Supplements also has treats that Pino and Ramen are big fans of. I think I told you guys about how the sweet potato treats, they're obsessed with them. Well, I just got more of them to keep the boys happy. These supplements and treats are for dogs of all ages, which means your pet can feel supported through every stage of their life. You guys know that I'm really into supplements that help with joint health for the boys, and I also really love the ones for calming, skin and coat, and digestion. The pups love them too. See what hundreds of thousands of grateful dog owners have to say about Springtime natural dog supplements and treats, and help your dog live a happier and healthier life. Go to springtime.com/Vine to get free shipping on your first order and learn how you can save up to 55% during their annual holiday sale. Podcast listeners, you will receive free shipping on their first order with code VINE when you visit www.springtime.com.
This is Off the Vine, Grape Therapy.
Ivan, was there ever a conversation with you guys that, and it's interesting you bring up this topic, I have a Jewish mother, Catholic father, so we celebrated Hanukkah and Christmas, and we're exposed to both religions.
So you're saying
and
relationships can work if
yeah,
people...
so that's kind of the segue. Was there ever the conversation to say in the fantasy suites, like, hey, I know this is where you stand, this is where I stand. Maybe one day we can come around to it, or we can learn each other's perspectives in greater detail when we have more time, and then figure out, was that conversation had?
Yeah, or did you just know in that moment where you're like, ooh, something shifted, this is done?
No, I did not know in that moment necessarily. But that was a great question, Jason. And yes, we did have that talk actually. And I brought up the term interfaith relationship. And to be honest, I don't think Tayshia even knew what that was, or like ever really thought about the idea of dating a non-Christian. So I was like, I'm open to an interfaith relationship. I actually think an interfaith relationship brings a ton of value, just like you stated, where it exposes the children to multiple different ways of thinking, and they can potentially make a decision for themselves based off of things they've had told to them by both parents, and then maybe go into research for themselves. As opposed to a relationship where it is two people who think the same way, and the kids may just, follow in their kids' footsteps. I just love the idea of being exposed to as much stuff as possible, and then being able to make your decision, when you're of appropriate age. So that was something that was brought up, and I guess Tayshia's just not into an interfaith relationship, obviously. So yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, and that was a really good question, Jason, because I was going to ask, like, how much do you know about the other guys? Like, we know now that she picked Zach, and do you now, from being removed, from being on the other side of this, watching in and knowing Zach, do you feel like that is a good match, that is the kind of person she's looking for, and that they're going to work. And of course, that's putting a lot of pressure on you to answer that. So you've done media training. You can answer how you will.
Yeah, I mean, Zach honestly is a great guy. He's a great guy. I really do like him. I really appreciated the guys in the house that I considered to be real and didn't, like I said, didn't do stuff for the camera. And that 100% is Zach. He's a class act. He's a man. I respect the guy to death. We got to 100% connect on the whole drug addiction and rehab type stuff, because I've been there with my brother and whatnot. So he means a lot to me, and I really like that guy. He's a great guy. As far as them working out, it seemed like they had a ton of chemistry, honestly, going on, and I didn't realize that. So that was that was cool. But from the outside looking in, I guess one would question just their lifestyles are on the opposite coast. He's sober. It seemed like Tayshia honestly liked to drink. We always drank, I felt like. I don't know how that plays into it, but I don't know if they're together today or not, but I hope they are. I know for certain, I can tell that Zach was in love with Tayshia. Before all of us, he was there first, and he's a great guy, and he's going to treat her right. So I don't know. I wish them the best, though, for sure. I just want them to both be happy, and I hope they found that in each other.
I saw that. Like you said, there's different things with religion that you can maybe not get past. There's certain thing with lifestyle that maybe you can get past. But one thing that I did really see from this season was that he did truly, truly love her, and that he would treat her like gold. But isn't that crazy I'm sure, Jason, you can relate. I'm sure we've talked about it, and I can relate from being on The Bachelor and you on The Bachelorette, that when you get sent home, you're like, how could anyone have anything more than what we had? And then you watch it back and you're able to get so much clarity and see, and you're like, oh shit, I did not know that's what was going on.
Yeah.
Or that they had that. But it almost gives you that clarity that you need and that closure to be able to understand and accept it.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's the small part of me. I'm wondering if the editing is messing with it at all to build up the guy who wins or whatever. But no, just in the way that Tayshia would talk about, a couple other guys, it was completely different from the way she was describing me. I felt like she would just say things like I'm safe, or there's nothing wrong with Ivan. Whereas other guys, she's like, oh, I'm head over heels, I'm smitten by him, or whatever else. I was just like, I had no shot. So I think, finishing around number 3.
I don't think that's true. I know, but there's, I can only speak from experience in that I've been in the same shoes as Tayshia. And there were so many times where I was like, oh my gosh, they didn't even show what I said about this person. Or actually I was saying this about someone else and they made it about this. There is the editing aspect of it. But at the end of the day, I think we can all know that when somebody's heart is somewhere, that's where they're going to go. And whether that sucks or it's not where you saw it going or whatever it is, when you're removed from it and it's been 4 months, you can actually look back and go, okay, this is what was supposed to happen for everybody.
Yeah. And to be honest, when, after the hometowns, I thought I was in pole position, first place, to be honest, basically, because I got the first rose. And then also I got the first fantasy suite, because I was trying to think about it. If I was the Bachelorette or Bachelor, I'd probably give my front runner the first rose at the hometown and then the first fantasy suite, to be honest. But yeah, so it is what it is. I definitely think she got the guy that was best for her, though, and Zach, for sure.
I'm glad.
Ivan, did you, again, I'm hoping I'm not stealing a question here, no. But when you did break up, it seemed as though, and I can relate to this too, I was I wanted to see Ivan just an emotional mess. I love this guy. I want to feel for him. And one of the things is you were so composed, and I was wondering, did you see it coming, or were you just in shock? What was going through your brain right then, right there?
Yeah, so I did have that first fantasy suite, so it was a couple days for me to just think about everything that happened. And when Tayshia and I had that religion talk, it didn't honestly even finish. We just talked about it, lasted 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and then we kind of just moved on from it. And we were just okay, just think about it and we'll see what happens. So that was the one thing where I was okay, I could be sent home for that reason. And I did know that going into there. Other than that, I was confident, but that one thing, stood in the back of my mind. So And then just, before that, I kind of prepared myself. Like I said earlier, someone who doesn't want to like accept me for just not being religious, even though I do have great morals and values. I'm sure she accepts me as a person, as a friend, all that stuff. But like as a partner or a life partner, then, that's not the person I really want for myself anyways. So that's why I was like, that was like my, I guess, maybe my defense mechanism or my way of like rationalizing it to myself that like, I want someone who's open to me just because I have great morals and values and I'm a great guy, not because I'm not this certain religion specifically.
Right.
So, yeah, it is what it is. And she's completely entitled to her choice on that too. So.
Last question before I just make you play a fun game and then I'll get you out of here. But what were your thoughts when Ben came back? Because you guys didn't know, right? He just like walked back in. He was like, being these totally extravagant dates, and here you are taking a cold bath before a fantasy suite in a trailer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know.
Good sport.
I don't know if it's like a third place thing, but I was the same way. I used to joke around. They would get like these bands and all these people, like they had concerts for Blake. I got literally chicken wings, and like we went to a donut shop, and then they tried to act like I was a vampire. I'm like, this is third place bullshit.
That's what you guys get for being so like relatable and down to earth. Okay, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
We want the works, right, Ivan? Come on.
I definitely wanted the works, but I do feel like everybody was able to relate to my dates, which was actually a great thing too, though.
No,
that's
and it was the most natural and easy.
Yeah,
yes.
for sure.
I actually love those dates.
I love them too. They're my favorite type. Like to be honest, I wouldn't have wanted to do that like horseback riding date and fireworks and stuff like Brendan got. That's like a little extra, especially in that hot heat. Like I just wanted my dates. They were much better to me.
I saw that ice bath and I was like, I would dive in there so fast, head first.
Yeah.
This question I actually, I actually really liked. Now, again, I'm friends with Tayshia and I love her and adore her, so this isn't anything against her. But Callie Howard wanted to know, the show portrayed their relationship as perfect. Did he see any red flags from her?
Oh, I mean.
This is one of those things where later after you can be like, edit that out, Kaitlyn. I'm not comfortable. And I'd go, okay.
I got you. Yeah. And that was one of the things I was actually kind of definitely thinking about, because up to the fantasy suite, everything was perfect. And I was like, and some other guys had like maybe, arguments with her to a certain degree. Like Noah had his little stuff and they got to go through adversity at least. Like I was like, we've had no adversity whatsoever. I have no clue how she reacts to anything. She has no clue how I react to adversity, how I'm able to stay strong through that. And, fantasy suite is when we first had a little bit of adversity with the whole religion talk and, it just is what it is. But, that was up to that point, it was perfect, to be honest. There was nothing wrong at all. That's why I felt really confident going into that week, but things just didn't work out after that. Yeah.
When you guys broke up, you felt the adversity, you're having the conversation. At that point, you didn't get the rose, you're going home. Did you think that she was going to bring up the religion thing?
No. Yeah.
Really?
No. Yeah. So I guess I did not. Yeah. When we were sitting on that bench, I didn't know what to expect. Cause one, it was before the rose ceremony. So I didn't know like if she expected me to like fight for my life or something real quick, or like what was going on. It wasn't like I just didn't get a rose and we walked out, talked, and I left. So I didn't really understand what was going on. And then while we were sitting there and she was talking, I was like, okay, we're about to see what happens here. And then I was wondering if she was going to go into the religious talk, because I was like, I don't think people really talk about this on this show that much. And this was a fantasy suite talk. So I didn't know. And then also, she's 100% entitled to her own opinion, and I want everybody to understand that for sure. But I didn't know if she wanted, because I'm sure there's people coming for her too, just being like, hey, why are you not open to a guy with good morals and values, So I didn't know if she wanted to like get that backlash, because I'm sure she's getting that. And, it's wrongful, honestly, because it is what it is. Like, she's entitled to feel the way she feels, and I'm entitled to feel the way I feel. But I just didn't know if she would want that for herself. So I was a little bit surprised that she brought it up. And when she did bring it up, I was definitely thinking about how, like, almost like really no one really knows that like I'm not religious, because like I said, I don't really talk about it. And I definitely live in the Bible Belt part of the country in Dallas. Especially with people of my demographic are always Christian, always very religious, and people just assume that about me. So I just don't talk about it. But now the whole world knows, and that's definitely different. But
that's the bachelor for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's cool. You've had so many opportunities to be who you are, speak your truth, things you believe in, things you stand for. And if anyone on somebody for that, it's just so silly, because it's like you're genuinely just going on there, being authentic, trying to find someone that aligns with you and someone that believes in what you do, and even if they don't, that you can respect each other and compromise and do all these things. That's literally why every relationship is so different. We all have different beliefs. Like Jason said, his mom's Jewish, his dad's Catholic. They have the most beautiful relationship I've ever seen in my life. It's awesome, so loving. It's works. Awesome. It's just, that's what makes the world go round, you know? It's everybody having opinions and respecting one another.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And, you know, thinking back to it all, it's like, I was always going to be genuine in myself. And thinking back to it, I just brought so many like crazy things to the show that just aren't really talked about, with the whole BLM stuff. And then really just even having my mom and dad be there, an interracial couple, a Black and Asian couple, which is like never represented. From the research I saw and like what other people have told me, like I think I'm the first Black and Asian person ever on the show even. By far made it further than any Asian male on the show ever. And not to mention my brother, who's a felon with face tats, let's be honest, to be on this show to middle America is like a crazy thing to see, but we still have that love and that he's very smart. Not being religious and being agnostic is, you know, it's usually a Christian narrative on the show, I feel like. And, you know, there's 25% of the country is not religious too. And that doesn't really get talked about too much. So I'm very glad I was able to bring all this stuff up, and by just being myself. It's not like I forced any of these conversations. There's just things that naturally came out as I'm trying to figure out if Tayshia was going to be my wife.
And how promising and encouraging it is to know the response you got back in these times we're in. You know, I think that's a win overall. It's so incredible. You are one of my favorite people that have ever been on the show.
Thank you.
Jason and I have talked about this a lot. You're literally what the show needs and what America deserves, and we really appreciate you, who you are, what you stand for, and for taking the time to come on this podcast. And my last question, and then this is an easy one, is just where can people find you and what can we expect from you moving forward?
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, people can follow me on, you know, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. It's Ivan B. Hall on all of those. On my Twitter's Ivan B. Hall 8, but the other two are Ivan B. Hall. So, honestly, I wasn't a social media guy before this at all. Like I posted a picture a year or something, but, you know, I think it's a unique opportunity, and, you know, there's a lot of like power and honestly good that can come out of it. So I plan to use it for that. I'm definitely going to have fun because like I'm a fun guy, but I am going to mix in a couple other things. Like I do want to talk about, you know, giving back to the community and prison reform. I do want to talk about, you know, something that's not talked about enough in the country really, which is like money and investing. That's like something that's really dear to me and something that's really that I like try to mentor and coach people on, especially as like a young I know you're into it too. I want to say, Jason, I believe.
God. I was like, you need to call Jason.
Yeah, it's just like something that like, just as like my first 5 years out of college, it's like amazing to me how people or other engineers like have no clue what to do with their money. I'm just like, just set yourself up for the future. Like passive investing is like what I'm really big into. So those two topics are something I really want to like bring awareness to, but I'm definitely going to have a ton of fun with it too. And it's going to be cool. It's not going to be like your, you know, cookie cutter, you know, type of person I feel like you see coming out the show. There's like, you know, I'm coming off the show, and Dr. Joe is a dope guy. He's really cool. He's going to do things his way too. He's like a very real good guy, and I really like that's coming out, you know, and I'm sure the other guys are going to do great things too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we just wish nothing but the best for you, and that Jason literally has a whole restart like empire on finances and everything. So yeah, you'll have to go on there as well. But thank you so much for taking the time, and we can't wait to see what you do with the platform that you have, because you've already changed the Bachelor franchise for the better and the world. So thank you so much.
No,
and
thank
you guys need to connect, and you are more than welcome on this podcast anytime, and we just wish nothing but good things for you.
I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome, and thank you for having me here.
So that was an awesome interview by Kaitlyn Bristowe and Jason on Grape Therapy. So go over there to their podcast and check that out. The actual interview was about an hour. So I only wanted to get the parts where it discussed, you know, what we're about to discuss in regards to why Tayshia decided not to move forward with Ivan. So let's discuss the first topic, which is agnostic. Ivan was stating that he is agnostic, and according to the definition, it's a person who believes that nothing is known or can be known in the existence or nature of God or anything beyond material phenomena, a person who claims neither faith nor disbelief in God. So it's not being an atheist per se, who a person that does not believe that God exists at all. It's like, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong. If you are agnostic, expound in the comments on what your thoughts are and maybe go into more detail. But it seems as if he believes that there is a divine being, is just identifying who and what that is. That's what he has not identified as of yet. Okay. He did also state that he was open to whatever that is, and that's just like any other relationship. There's compromise, especially if you're committed. He talks about his high morals and values that he have. He was open to allowing Tayshia to basically raise the kids in religion, or at least to let them have a choice. I mean, because I've seen in many cases where you have two parents that maybe practice one religion, raise the children in that religion, and those children grow up and choose something totally different. So at the end of the day, it always comes down to choice. And even in their decision, Tayshia made her decision. It's her choice just as much as is, Ivan's choice as well. Interfaith is one thing that Jason talked about as well with his parents. They are of two different religious backgrounds. They respect each other's religious belief systems. And then at the same time, they've been cohesive ever since for many years. So, it depends on the two people involved in the situation. If they're willing to be committed to each other and respect each other to work through situations as this. So I found it an interesting conversation. If there's anybody agnostic in, as a viewer, let me know what your thoughts are on that. And if you need to go into more detail, I would like to hear what that's all about. But I just find it interesting that's what she decided to go with. There were no other red flags with either one of them. It seemed like they had everything going for them except that one thing. And in situations, there are people who don't want to be unevenly yoked. So I thought this was a great interview by Kaitlyn and Jason, and Ivan speaking his thoughts. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments section. And until the next video, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you soon.